Hello there! Today I thought I'd put together a bit of a guide for how to own a gel blaster here in South Australia. A bunch of new players at the Battle for Waterloo skirmish field that I attend have all learned about the sport from my YouTube videos. So I just thought I'd put together a bit of a guide for everyone who might be new to the sport. I realise this will also be interesting to other people outside of South Australia to see what kind of fun we have to go through just to own a toy. So let's get started. So you've just found out that gel blasters exist, whether you found one of my videos or whether a friend told you about them. The first thing I'd recommend is heading down to a local field. The one that I go to is the Battle for Waterloo, and you can actually hire a blaster for a day to see whether you actually like the sport. If you do end up liking the sport, the rest of this video is going to help you immensely. As of some policy changes here in South Australia at the end of 2020, you now need to have a firearms license to own a gel blaster. So the first step to get a firearms license is to print out a PD 303 form. I'll leave a link to that down below, but it's found on the South Australia Police website. If all you want to do is use gel blasters, make sure you select category A, reason number 4, which is paintball. If you select anything else, because those will be real firearms, the process will take a fair bit longer. With your PD 303 form completed, you'll then need to head down to your local police station and bring 100 points of ID. So that can be a combination of passport, driver's license, birth certificate, all that kind of stuff. You'll also have to pay at this point because firearms licenses are an annual fee, which as of 2021 is a $103 per year charge. Once you've lodged that application to get a firearms license, that's when the wait really begins, because it can actually take up to a few months depending on the backlog. You can obviously still keep going out to gel ball fields and hiring blasters in the meantime though, just to tie you over. And that's something I'd probably recommend doing. But after what is hopefully just a couple of months and not 6 months like I've seen some people have to wait, you will eventually get that approval letter back and it will give you instructions of how to attend a training course. Now, if all you applied for was category A number 4, like I said, you'll have a 1-day course on gel blasters. But if you actually went for any real firearms as well, that'll be a 3-day training course. I'm not 100% sure, but it's definitely longer than 1 day. But once you've attended that training class, you'll then have another wait for a training certificate to come to you in the mail. But once you have that training certificate, you can take everything you've filled out so far, head down to your local Service SA or Australia Post Office, and then you can get your photograph taken for your photographic license. At the photo point that you choose, whether that's Australia Post or Service SA, they'll issue you a temporary license until your physical copy arrives. So that means you can actually go and get a gel blaster now with that paper license they've issued you. So now that you have your firearms license, how do you actually get a gel blaster? Well, there's one key thing you'll need to do first before you're allowed to even consider getting one. You need to have a gun safe to store these in when not in use. Now, as it says on the paperwork, a gun safe must be 2 millimeters thick and secured to your building, so floor bolts or wall bolts. Unless it's 150 kilograms, then it doesn't have to be secured at all. But the 150 kilogram safes are like $1,000. So if you're in a rental property, you will unfortunately have to pay for one of those really expensive safes. Once you've set up a gun safe though, there's 2 main ways that you can get a gel blaster in South Australia. The first one is to go to our one and only physical gel blaster store in the state, which is called Safari Zoomer Tactical. You can find them at Salisbury South. I'll put a link to their store page down below. But once you're there and you've had a look through some gel blasters and decided on one you want to buy, you'll need to lodge this form here, which I'm sure Doug will instruct you through how to do that. This is a PD 306 form called a permit to acquire. Safari Zoomer Tactical will then send this off to Firearms branch for approval. It usually only takes about 2 days, so it's not a long wait compared to the rest of the process you've had to go through. But once that comes back, they'll issue a serial number And generally the dealer, so Doug at Safari Zoomer Tactical, will engrave that on the blaster for you. And they usually charge a fee. I believe Safari Zoomer is about $30 to do the whole process. But once your blaster is ready, generally Safari Zoomer or any other dealer will just give you a phone call. You'll take the completed PD306 as well as the blaster that now has the engraving serial number on it, and you'll go to a nearby police station for registration. Now, the second way to get a gel blaster in South Australia is that you can actually buy it from somewhere that they're legal, like Queensland. You just get it shipped directly to the address of any gun dealer in the state. The one that I personally use is Gawler Fishing and Outdoors. You just ship it to their postal address and they'll give me a call when it's ready to pick up. Similarly, you have to lodge a PD306. You can fill that out before it's even arrived at the dealer, and that just speeds up the process of getting those 2 days to get it back. Now, a gun dealer will also charge you $50 for engraving it and filling out the paperwork for you, and that's generally a little more than Safari Zoomer, so about $50 instead of $30. Now, when you're taking your newly engraved blaster and the paperwork to the police station, make sure you keep it inside the box it comes in or inside a bag or something to make sure you don't scare the general public. Definitely something you don't want to be doing, especially at a police station, is walking in, swinging this around in the air. At the police station though, they'll read through this paperwork, make sure it's all filled in correctly. They'll ask you to show them the gel blaster and show them the serial number that it's correct and matches what's on the paperwork. And then at the police station, you'll have to pay a registration fee per blaster, which as of 2021 is a $41 fee per blaster. They'll give you a receipt for that $41 registration fee, and that receipt is actually a temporary rego paper for the blaster. So you'll need to bring that with you when you go to a gel blaster field to prove that you're the owner of that gel blaster. But eventually, after probably a couple of months, like every other part of this process, you'll receive a pink slip in the mail, which is the official registration paper for the blaster. But as soon as you have that receipt, the blaster's registered to you, you can go and use it at a gel blaster field. Now for some additional information that might be useful to know. The first thing is gel blasters can only legally be fired at a gel ball field. So you cannot take them out even on a farm property that's nowhere near anyone and fire it. You can fire a real gun out there, but for some stupid reason, you're not allowed to fire a gel blaster anywhere aside from at a gel ball field. I've already said this, but just a reminder, make sure you bring your rego papers and your license to a gel ball field when you're attending a game. It can also be your temporary license or temporary rego paper, but just make sure you bring it with you. If you intend on owning more than 20 gel blasters, aside from needing to have enough safe capacity to store them all, you'll also have to get CCTV or an alarm system. That's just part of the rules if you go over 20. A final little piece of information, if you move house to a different address and you move the firearms to your new address, you'll have to let Firearms Branch know. You do this by going to your local police station, filling out a PD 310 form, and that's something you have to do if you move house. I think that's pretty much covered everything that comes to mind for me, but if you have any further questions, leave them in the comments down below. Even comment with how stupid these laws are if you live somewhere else. That's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.